My name is Maniza Naqvi, and this is the 7th part of the 28th episode of the Little Book Company podcast, focused on Razia Bhatti and Newsline magazine. In this part, my guest is Mohammad Hanif, journalist, novelist, script and play writer, libretto writer, and blogger. He writes in English, Punjabi, and Urdu. His published and acclaimed award-winning novels are A Case of Exploding Mangoes, A Lady of Alice Bhatti, and his most recent novel, Red Birds. He has also written a work called The Balouch Who Is Missing and Others Who Are Not. His screen and stage plays include The Dictator's Wife, What Now That We Are Dead, The Long Night, and Raath, Chaali, Jhoom. He is working on a libretto for an opera called Bhutto with the composer Mohammed Fairouz. Hanif is a journalist for the BBC and headed the BBC Urdu service for a while. He writes for the New York Times, the New Yorker, Washington Post, and others. He graduated from the Pakistan Air Force Academy as an officer fighter pilot. Welcome, Hanif.
जी, थैंक यू सो मच। ये तो आपने मेरी पूरी ऑबिचुरी लिख दी इतनी लंबी। नाइस टॉकिंग टू यू।
It's good to talk to you too, and I must say कि मेरे लिए बहुत ही एक क्या खुशी का मौका है, इसलिए कि मैं आपकी बहुत ही फैन हूँ और शायद गलती कर रही हूँ ये सब कह के, इसलिए कि दूसरों से तो मैंने ये नहीं कहा सब कुछ, लेकिन आपसे कह रही हूँ। और आप इतने एक किस तरह से मीठे तरीके से इतनी तल्ख बात कह देते हैं, और ये एक बहुत बड़ा टैलेंट है जो आप में है।
नहीं, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। अपने बारे में अच्छी बातें सुनने को हर एक का दिल करता है, चाहे कहने वाला झूठ भी बोल रहा हो तब भी अच्छी लगती हैं, और आप तो बिल्कुल दिल से कर रही हैं, तो बहुत शुक्रिया। लेकिन मैं आपका वैसे भी शुक्रिया कि आपने रजिया जो है हमारी दोस्त, जिगर, उस्ताद, माँ बहन सब कुछ थी, तो आप उन पे ये कर रही हैं तो मुझे बड़ी खुशी हुई। तो हम रजिया की बातें अगर आप करना चाहें।
दोस्त, जिगर, माँ, बहन, उस्ताद, आप रजिया तक कैसे पहुंचे, और न्यूज़लाइन ने आपको ढूंढा या आपने उन्हें ढूंढ लिया?
जी, अगर लोग जो अपनी जिंदगी की शुरुआत करते हैं तो उसमें बहुत सारे लोग स्ट्रगल करते हैं, लेकिन मुझे कुछ ज्यादा नहीं करनी पड़ी, क्योंकि मेरी, जिसे आप ऐसे समझें कि लॉटरी निकल आई और रजिया ने मुझे से मेरी मुलाकात हो गई। मैं उससे पहले शो बिजनेस का सहाफी था। टीवी टाइम्स मैगजीन था, तो उसमें मेरे आर्टिकल से वो भरा होता था, तो मैं एक्टर्स वगैरह के इंटरव्यू किया करता था। कभी कभी कोई अदब की तरफ हाथ मार लेता था, तो उनको कोई शायद मेरी चीज लिखी हुई पसंद आ गई, तो फिर उन्होंने मुझे लिखने का मौका दिया। और फिर न्यूज लाइन जब निकला तो उसके तीसरे शुमारे में उन्होंने मुझे हायर कर लिया एडिटोरियल असिस्टेंट के तौर पे। और वो मुझे दिन अभी तक याद है, क्योंकि मैं वो अपने मेरा आगाज तो काफी शानदार था जो शोबिज जर्नलिज्म में, लेकिन उसके बाद वो काफी मसाइल होना शुरू हो गए थे, तो मैं छोड़ के सहाफत में गांव चला गया था। तो मैंने न्यूज़लाइन का पता तो था कि वो निकलेगा, न्यूज़लाइन साल से बात चल रही थी, और तो उनसे थोड़ी सी वाकफियत थी, तो मैंने मुबारकबाद दी जब मैंने पहला शुमारा देखा। तो उन्होंने कहा तुम कहाँ हो? मैंने कहा मैं तो गाँव गाँव में हूँ। तो उसने कहा वहां पे क्या कर रहे हो? तो मैंने कहा कि काश्तकारी करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। तो वो काश्तकारी भी सही नहीं चल रही थी, तो उन्होंने कहा कि नहीं चल रही तो वापस आ जाओ। सो प्रैक्टिकली अगर मुझे गांव से निकाल के शहर में, कराची में, तो उन्होंने मुझे एडिटोरियल असिस्टेंट रख लिया। और फिर शुरू में मुझे एक बात याद है, उस्ताद मैं इसलिए कहता हूँ कि वो बीच में, चूंकि मैं नीम पढ़ा लिखा था, मैं अभी फौज से निकला था, और जो बड़ी मिस एजुकेशन भी हुई हुई थी, तब दुनिया का पता भी नहीं था। तो मैंने कहा कि मैं जो कराची यूनिवर्सिटी का जर्नलिज्म डिपार्टमेंट है, मैं उसमें एडमिशन ले लेता। तो मैं फॉर्म भी लेके आया, तो उन्होंने कहा ये क्या फॉर्म भर रहे हो? तो मैंने कहा ये कराची यूनिवर्सिटी में जर्नलिज्म सीखने जा।
हम्म,
तो उन्होंने मुझे कहा कि मैंने वहां से गोल्ड मेडल लिया है उस प्रोग्राम से। तो
हम्म।
तुम अगर 2 हफ्ते जो है बंदे के पुत्र की तरह यहाँ पे बैठो दफ्तर में और काम करो, तो तुम उतना सीख लोगे जितना तुमने वहां पे 2 साल में सीखना है। एंड पता नहीं मैं कुछ सीख पाया ही नहीं, लेकिन उन्होंने वाकई जो भी है उन्होंने सिखाया हम सबको। और मेरा ख्याल है हमारे बाकी जो आपने न्यूज़लैंड के भाई बहने सबसे बात की होंगी, तो उन्होंने सबको बहुत कुछ सिखाया है, सहाफत के बारे में भी और शायद जिंदगी के बारे में।
जिंदगी के बारे में क्या सिखाया आपको?
हम सीख नहीं सके, लेकिन सिखाया उन्होंने यही है कि काम करना चाहिए और उस काम में मजा भी आना चाहिए। और काम को सिर्फ काम समझ के जान छुड़ा के ये काफी नहीं है। तो वो उनकी ये चीज थी कि एक चीज जो है वो 6 दफा पढ़ी जाएगी, 6 दफा एडिट होगी। ये किसी ने लिख लिया हमने छाप दिया, ऐसा नहीं होता।
हम्म।
सो आई थिंक उनका एक पूरा एक प्रोसेस था, जो सीखा तो नहीं हमने कभी, लेकिन उनका एडिटिंग का स्टाइल जो है बाकी लोगों को भी पता होगा कि वो सबको बहुत अच्छे से, प्यार से, सख्ती से वो एडिट करते।
हम्म। तो कभी बुरा नहीं लगा जब वो आपकी लिखी हुई चीज को 6 दफा एडिट करें?
बुरा तो नहीं लगता था, लेकिन डर लगता था कि क्योंकि वो आमतौर पे हम राइटर जो बनने की कोशिश करते हैं तो खूबसूरत सा जुमला लिख दिया करती है ना,
हम्म।
You think, वाह वाह, एंड शी वुड से दिस इज रियली ब्यूटीफुल, बट व्हाट द हेल डज इट मीन? ये तुम कहने की क्या कर? So she was very particular about not just her stories, what we were doing politically, or to have fun, but also that it has to be done properly. I mean, I have never come across people are can be quite anal about like their apostrophes and commas, but I have never seen anybody who would be like will wake you up at 6 in the morning just to double check that if that comma was moved from here to there.
हम्म।
So she cared about the craft as well as what was her like basic mission, that you should poke powerful people in the eye,
हम्म।
and then see what happens. So I think that's what her teachings were about.
So she was a sort of, did she favor just sort of a precise, clean, fact-filled kind of sentence?
No, she liked flair. I think she wanted people to write better. So yes, obviously he cared about her facts, and he like double checked every single quote that you put in.
Mhm.
Uh, but also overall her structure was that whatever we're doing, does it bother anyone? Can we just take out a magazine every month and then another month, or what does it mean? So everything like every month for her was like this challenge thrown out to people, that look, this is what is happening here.
Mm-hmm. 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 And what was your first article for Newsline with your byline on it?
I think first I did a couple of show business little pieces, small paragraph type pieces, because my background was from show business. And then I wrote up this story about Karachi sort of gangs, basically stories of like the friends that I was living with and hanging out with mostly, and
Mm-hmm.
some of them were being killed and some of them were being kidnapped. So she liked it very much. She worked on it with me. That was the first time that I saw like that somebody actually cares about what I have to say or we have to say together as a
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
magazine.
Mm-hmm.
So she used to, I mean, it was I still remember her editing process. Like, for example, if it was a longish story, which it was about this story, so
Mm-hmm.
you have like 15, 16 pages of those dot metrics. Remember those printers?
Yes.
Yes. So you'll have like a whole kind of thing of 17 pages going, rolling around the office. And she would start and she'll have like a scotch tape and a scissor.
Uh-huh.
So she would cut like a sentence from page number 9 and bring it to page number 2, para 5, and write it, put it there. You see, like, now, does it make better sense or not? And then you have to explain yourself also. So yeah, it was. I think it was those things. Sorry, I'm kind of rambling, but
No, no, no.
mm,
Because right now in my mind, I can see that that print paper that you're talking about, and my
mm,
jaw has dropped at thinking about how she cuts a sentence out from, let's say, page 17 and moves
mm,
to paragraph 1 on page 3.
mm.
Oh my goodness. That's such a labor of love.
Yeah, and she kind of wanted to get the best of people, like
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
without completely destroying them.
mm-hmm,
She I think one lesson she basically taught us all was that work should be fun also, right? It should be good. It should be confrontational. Uh, every month, people should read us and see, and we should raise those questions. We should publish what nobody else is publishing. Basically, that was her game plan.
mm-hmm,
That was her business. That was her business plan,
mm-hmm,
which kind of worked for mm, a couple of decades. So I think she taught us all of that, that yes, you cannot mishandle your commas and you cannot come up with trouble. Like she was a trouble seeker. Like we must be in trouble, otherwise we're not speaking the truth. We're not offending somebody. We're not actually doing our job. And she also taught, I think, everybody that we can have fun doing that. And that's what I
What do you mean by that? We can have fun seeking out trouble?
like. She made it fun that you can write a story about. She allowed it, like encouraged it. This
Mhm.
a behavior is more powerful the person and kind of more. Uh, 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 that's the person we're taking on. Why are we not kind of sort of
Mhm.
and that's what she did. So she would like usually I think in journalism that's what happens is, and I've worked in journalism for a very long time.
Mhm.
That usually you kind of second guess whether your editor will approve the story or not, right? Whether you're pushing too far. And Razia always asked everybody, I think, push a bit further, you know, sort
Mhm.
of, let's go.
So here she was uh, confronting power. Every time there was someone powerful, she
Mhm.
confronted them head on and
Mhm.
was courageous. But was that an attitude that she had of being confrontational? Because sounds like everybody else adored her.
Yes, and when they came after her, they were quite silly. There are brave journalists, and she was obviously like bravest in all. But there are also that they can confront governments, they can confront military establishment, they can confront like religious political parties. There have been journalists like that.
Mhm.
But to take on people of your own social class, friends of your friends and their uncles and their sort of powerful families. That I haven't seen any journalist or editor doing in Pakistan. Usually, we let sort of give your own family member or your kind of friend pass.
Mhm.
She would not do that. I have to share. This is like a sort of gossipy story. Doesn't kind of say anything nice about me. But we used to have Asif Farooqi Saab, remember late Asif Farooqi Saab?
I remember him. Yes, of course.
जी जी। तो वो हमारा जो उर्दू अदब का था वो उन्होंने संभाला हुआ था काम, उसमें शायरों के इंटरव्यूज या कभी कभी कोई बुक रिव्यूज।
Hmm.
तो मैं रजिया को कहा करता था कि तुम्हें इनमें से किसी शायर का नाम सुना है कभी? उसने वाकई नहीं सुना होता, तो दैट वाजंट हर बैकग्राउंड। सो आई वुड जोक दैट व्हाई आई बी पब्लिशिंग दिस स्टफ, राइट? Just because somebody kind of, this is like, uh, and then when Asif Farooqi Saab's book came out, a book of short stories that he'd written many, many years ago. So, and I was in America at that time. I had gone on like for 6 months, uh, sort of junket there. So she sent me that book from Karachi. She said, like, you are the right person to review it. So, and I kind of said, well, I should apologize, but I said like some not very nice things.
Like
And
what?
she published them as they were, despite the fact that the person that we're talking about is our own very esteemed contributor,
Mm-hmm.
right? So those kinds of things didn't matter to her. That if somebody we kind of know,
Mm-hmm.
and why can't we make fun of them, or why can't we report about them? They've done something silly or written something silly. So that was something that most people, I haven't seen any people who kind of generally uh, let their own family and friends kind of keep them out of this. And she didn't. She was they were like, she would never compromise on that. That if we do a story about this person, then what happens to that person?
Well, she sounds like she was the consummate editor, and she was actually able to probably give very good. Your review was probably very good advice for Asif Farooqi.
I don't think I have never liked a negative review. I'm sure you have not either. So
No.
let's not go there. But another thing that before I forget, and that another thing that she did, I worked in various organizations before and after, was that there was like another culture of like not just kind of getting the work done, but also caring about a person.
Hmm.
So her routine would be, I have a sort of a deadline, right? Arriving, or I have to come up with an idea, and I haven't, and I'm being lazy. But first, you walk into office, you would say, "ये खाना खाया है?" तो
Wow.
उसका कोई बात हुई, उसके बाद क्या? How is your love life? ठीक है ना? उसका कुछ जो भी जवाब मिला, तो उसके बाद तीसरी कि अच्छा वो, where the hell is your story? तो
तो एक जरा घर जैसा एटमोसफियर.
I guess also like she kind of made whatever you did, whatever little things you did, she made them seem a lot better,
And
meaningful.
really important to her. She made them seem like you were important for her as a person.
Every single I think anybody like who wrote and worked for her should be kind of made sure that everybody was fed. Everybody's kind of family personal stories she would listen and advise,
Mm-hmm.
uh, to be there, which is kind of which usually kind of people you know don't do in news organizations or any organization.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what was the atmosphere like in the office in general? What was it? Did you sit in the office or did you, well, in those days you must have, right? You couldn't write from home.
No, no, yeah, yeah. No, we were always in the office, and I think I went basically because that's where you got food. Simple. Right? You would guaranteed food. You maybe you might be asked to kind of, why haven't you kind of, where is your story at, or those kind of things. But yeah, basically, uh, so yeah, I spent a lot of time. I think I spent most. time than anybody because I was single. I had like, sort of. So while you were with her, you were constantly entertained. She loved gossip. She loved, sort of feeding you well. She cared about like, your emotional life.
Mhm.
So she gave you like more attention, and then she gossiped and she would share about her own life as well.
Mhm. Someone once told me that in order to be a good journalist, you have to love gossip. Is that true?
Yeah, and she sort of liked kind of ideas, and she made, as I said, like the only thing that I've many people, many journalists, editors have tried, done various things, but she made everything seem like more fun than sort of. It was, I think, one of her central things that we are. Uh, mm, that we have to laugh and we have to kind of get on with it.
Mhm. Did you get into trouble after your first article about gangs and missing people?
I didn't. Razia mostly got into trouble. I mean, we didn't all get into trouble because she was it was an independent magazine. So she was, in a way, not only just the editor, but also the owner or the kind of, the person who kind of made all the business decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And so she worked, I mean, Altaf bhai, Allah unko seht de. So yeah, he used to make like, these bizarre speeches about chote balon wali, and she had like a little bob, like, chote balon ne thode kiye hote. Itne bhi chote nahi the, but Altaf bhai ke hisab se chote the. So he used to make like these wild speeches about him. So yeah, we kind of I think that was her way of doing it. That we should have always have like some slight trouble going on with everything we do. Otherwise, we're not doing our job.
Is that a way? Do you think it keeps you safe if you're in trouble with everybody, right, left, and center? Does that help?
I uh, don't know about that, but Razia did not discriminate, like, sort of between mullahs and Karachi socialites. Like, she had to say something, or Nawabs, or Waderas, or the army, or the ISI colonels. She would happily, offend anybody and everybody.
Mm-hmm. And did the ISI colonel come calling often? Did he come knocking on the door? I mean, metaphorically speaking, is what I mean when I say ISI colonel. But I mean,
No, ISI used to be a bit lazy in those days. They weren't very active in that kind of media, and we were a small English magazine, and English journalism in those times was considered all the shit that you can't say like in Urdu or on TV, you can say in English magazine, right? And you might get into like some kind of minor trouble, but ISI might have tried to kind of plant stories, and that kind of thing was always going on, but no, but they did. She got into trouble with her. We got into trouble with this governor, Kamal Asfar.
mhm.
Uh, so, if I remember correctly, every version of it, because some of these stories, just as you said, started out of gossip. So, somebody, one of our fellow sort of people on Newsline was telling the story about him that he got 100 and I don't know how many refrigerators at her wedding because his father was like a secretary during Ayub's time. And I said, why don't you write it? See, the dude had just become the governor, Governor Kamal Aswar. And he said, no, why don't you write it? And we wrote it and it was published. And the next day there was like police at FIA at Razia's house, like 6 in the morning.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Wow, for just writing a.
And everybody was puzzled, but that this guy, Kamal Asper,
Mhm.
he's like from our social class. He's like he was everybody's friend. He went to everybody's house and he kind of, that Karachi elite set, right?
Yes.
So people kind of were trying that this kind of trouble wouldn't happen. But she didn't care about these things, and I think that made her very very special for me personally because mostly people don't betray their class or their clan,
Mhm.
and she never discriminated from that.
That is quite a trait, I have to say. Um, that's very rare. It really is. Uh,
I'm sure Hassan probably has told you his story where he got us into trouble. Hassan was she loved Hassan's writing and would be like sort of completely had to we both I think he worked very hard on. Uh, so and then somebody filed a case against us. Hassan must have told us. So she called us. She said, all these people are calling me. This person who's filed a case against us, which we've named as a drug smuggler. Lots of these friends are saying that, but he's our friend. Let's invite him over for a cup of tea in the office and get it over with. Like, why would you go and contest a case in Quetta? Case भी उन्होंने Quetta में file किया था. So and just remember that we were very small magazine. It wasn't like an organization where you have travel budgets and stuff like that. It was like, just a very, very like small operation. And he said, so let me get this straight. Then we've published that this guy is a drug smuggler. And now these people are telling me that you should invite him and have a cup of tea with him. Like, why? Why would anybody do that? So if you've done this, go and fight the case.
Really?
So yeah. So for about a year and a half, every month, I would be given a ticket and go and hire a lawyer and defend whatever you've done. I mean, I'm sure that she didn't like doing it. Like, there was never enough money. But when she kind of stood up with you or with what she did, and then she kind of mm, stayed like all the way.
That's pretty amazing. But I'm amazed that you and Hassan Mujtaba were into ke thappad maro फिर पप्पी भी.
Mm. No. Mm.
And she was the one who said, go and now you go to court, go face the music.
Yeah, completely. And I still blame that it was Hassan Mujtaba. And it was like a person who filed this case. Against us. And when you file a case against us, this was our first time that we faced an actual court case. And I think that was my first time. So when they file a case against you, so they file the reporter, the person who had written this, who in this case was Hassan Mujtaba, and mainly, but me as well. And then the editor, which was Razia Bhatti, and the publisher, which was Razia Bhatti, and then you have to file a case against printer as well. So, and last I heard, by the way, I have to give you this newsline that that case still goes on. Like half the people who were named in them are either dead or not in Pakistan, but that case kind of still goes.
This case goes on, मतलब कि वहाँ पेशी वो लगती है कि आज नहीं, they haven't shown up. That's it. लेकिन चलता है.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, yeah, it's never been kind of it's never come to a conclusion.
डर लगा था जब केस फाइल हुआ था आपस की बात पे. Did you
I
feel?
think that was the one thing that I think it must have happened to other people also, that she kind of protected you in a way that she never made you feel threatened by other people. I think there was like her way of doing things about this, that she would always laugh it off.
Yeah.
Uh, she would mm, try and kind of
Did you learn anything from going to Quetta every month or whenever for this court case?
yeah, I made a lot of friends. Our lawyer was Ali Ahmed Kur, and one day I turned up for a peshi, and the munshi told me that, I said, where is her Kurd Sahab, our lawyer? He said he's in jail. He's been arrested. So I called up Russia and told her, and she was like, we've hired a lawyer who is in jail himself. How are we going to? Mm, uh,
So you're talking about Ali Ahmed Kur, fiery.
yes, yes, yeah, yeah, yes, yeah.
वो भी खुद भी अच्छा आपके लॉयर भी जेल में वाह 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 सो ब्रिलियंट ब्रिलियंट लेकिन उसके बाद कोई और ऐसी आर्टिकल आपने लिखा और रजिया ने
Mm,
जो जिसमें
no, I have to, no, but you said about that if you felt, I felt fear.
हाँ फिर
So she had like a way of taking the fear off, because in this case, in first peshi, the judge ने हम पे 1 करोड़ रुपए का जुर्माना कर दिया बगैर हमारा मौकफ सुने ही। सीधा सीधा उसने 1 करोड़ का। तो मैंने बड़े डरते डरते रजिया को फोन किया कि हम पे 1 करोड़ का जुर्माना हो गया। तो पहले तो एक लम्हे के लिए खामोश रही, तो फिर उन्होंने कहा कि तुम फिर चेक लिख के उनको दे दो और आ जाओ वापस। तो
I mean good tactic 1 करोड़ well uh, I think that was brilliant. That was a brilliant move on her part because it's so humorous. Or back in 1992 or 93. Can you imagine? Well,
yeah.
obviously you can. My God. So, Hanif, can we take a pause here and come right back?
Okay, okay, cool. Okay, I think I've said like most of it. I'm probably rambling now, and
Yeah,
I don't want to sound stupid.
but you're
Uh,
not sounding
yes.
stupid. I'm going to just,
No, no, no. Yeah.
you know. So, Hanif, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm,
Um, she was stopped from doing a cover story at Herald in
mm-hmm,
1988, and the cover
mm-hmm,
is going to be the politician Benazir Bhutto.
mm-hmm,
And Razia Bhatti left and started Newsline with her team that left with her.
mm-hmm,
And then
mm-hmm,
almost a year later, in July 1989, when Benazir Bhutto did become prime minister, the inaugural cover carried Benazir Bhutto on it.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So here's my question.
mm-hmm.
Was there a commonality between who Razia Bhatti was and who Benazir Bhutto was?
I don't know much about Benazir Bhutto's personal uh, life. But I think Razia always believed in sisterhood,
Mm-hmm.
like all her life, like from her oldest friends to people that she worked with. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, Newsline, when it came out, had this reputation of being a magazine run and owned by women, where they used to have like a token male journalist like Zahid Bhai, or then later myself or Hassan Mustafa. It was mainly, so she believed in that. She made relationships with other women journalists. I think she used to be really fond of Maliha Lodi, who was on the rise at that time. And she was always supportive. There was a women's bank then, and she, I think, met that woman, and she was to our sort of history turns, because I remember that she was like she made sure that we did a story on Zubaida Jalal, uh, who later became Musharraf's minister, etc. But that she was a miracle of man. So she always uh, made alliances with the sort of women, and there was a very strong sense of sisterhood always at that time. But
Hmm. I I guess I I'm asking the question that, you said that Razia Bhatti was someone who didn't stick with her class and just questioned that, and didn't bow down to that. Do you think that they had that in common, or she had that in common with the Bhuttos, which is
I think no, I would not uh, go that far. I think Razia was quite unique. I'm a kind of an older man now, and I've met her when I was quite young. So I've been around, I've seen editors, I've worked in other news organizations or publishing. So you keep coming across nice editors. But there was like that unique quality to her that, as I said, that she make everyone's work look and read better. And she always tried to teach us that how to have fun while doing your job.
Mhm, mhm. Okay. So I don't want to take up more of your time, and I just want to ask you one more question, which is, I've sent you the first editorial that for the inaugural issue,
Uh,
and it's on your WhatsApp now. And I wanted to ask you the question: Should I've completed this series of podcasts on Razia Bhatti, and I wondered if should I just post them as they are because they are painting a picture of Razia Bhatti on their own, or shall I do an introduction and then read her first inaugural editorial, which was called Why Newsline? Or would you think it would be so much better if you just read that out loud for us now?
I am a very bad reader and I would not do that, but I can do something better,
Okay.
which is I'll tell you how she used to write these editorials.
Okay.
After she had rewritten, edited everybody's work, she had to write this page. And she would spend the whole night. She would get so tired, geeked out, that she would go behind her desk and curl up on the carpet with paper and pen in her hand. And then she would scribble, and then she would turn it into a ball and she would throw away, right? Then she would again written, and then having written up two paras, she would come up. And I happened to be there, and I'm sure there were other people who've been through the same lovely process that she would bring what she had written to you. And the whole month she had been editing, making your stuff better. And she would ask you to read it and say whether it works or not. This sentence works or not. And then you would give her like, sort of your feedback, and then she would change that, and then she would change that again. So she really, this editorial might look like to you like, it's only 400 words or 500 words. Anybody can dash it off. But Razia was very thoughtful about what she put on paper. And she, like most writers, she struggled with it. And yes, that was my Razia.
Thank you, Hanif. Hey, Hanif. Just before we go, is there anything else that you remember from that period that we should be talking about that you could tell me?
And yeah, it just occurred to me that we've talked for a very long time, and we've talked about Razia Bhatti as we intended to. But we kind of tend to forget that Razia ran Newsline for, I guess, 8 years or something.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And the person who was the anchor of the whole operation, from my point of view, was her deputy, who was Rehana Hakim, who took over after Razia's sudden and tragic death. And as I think, as we've already said, that it was basically the whole operation was run by these really smart, beautiful, kind of very witty women. And the person who kind of anchored them all, I think, was Rehana Hakim, because as we talked earlier, that Razia was very protective of everybody, every single person that who she worked with. She was very protective of them, not just professionally, but about their personal lives as well, about their emotional health as well. And so, who protected Razia then? And I always thought it was Rihanna. And that she kind of made sure that everything got done. She made sure that people kind of, you'll always have these people who kind of will come to hang out at the office, that they left at some point so that we could work. She made sure that we met our deadline. She made sure that everybody got paid. And the interesting thing about Rihanna Hakim is, now that I remember, that almost everybody else was either a beginner or was a journalist and just ended up there. But Rihanna had a whole other very glamorous career. She was a classical dancer and she used to represent Pakistan, traveling all over the world. But she was Razia's friend, and she, I think, roped her into journalism. And I've never seen like such close sisterhood amongst professionals. So I think she was actually her rock. I mean, there were other brilliant, very supportive women as well, Saira and Samina and Temina and Naziha later and Nafisa. She was very good, as I said, making these bonds with bright women. But I think it was Rihanna who, and I think it was very tragic that after Razia left, that Rihanna had to take over. I could only imagine. And then she carried on for years and years and years, till kind of, sort of till there was no space left in the media market for a magazine like that. So I think it did require a whole lot of courage to continue without the friendship, without the leadership of Razia, and keep the whole thing together for such a long time.
Wow. Well, it went on for 24 more years, Newsline, under Rehana Hakim.
Yes, and that's all kudos to her. And she was, as I said, she'd always been the anchor, the pivot, the whole thing kind of revolved around her, and she made sure that things got done and everybody had fun. And Razia was also protected and got enough time to be with her family despite all the craziness.
Mm-hmm. And you're saying that Rihanna is a classical dancer, and
Yes, she was a classical dancer before she became a very famous one and very glamorous one.
my goodness, and
None of us had no other talent. I think she was the only one, kind of, sort of, we come from that background.
well, I think you're being a little humble here, but I let you. And so you said she was a glamorous dancer. What does that mean?
No, I does not mean American way. I mean, she was a classical dancer, and she was a part of this group that used to represent Pakistan and travel all over the world and perform these classical dances.
How amazing is that? And then she probably didn't get to dance very much once she.
Yeah, no, after she got into journalism, at least I didn't see her dance.
And what would you say was the strength in her personality that had her take this forward for 24 more years?
I think she felt duty bound. As I said, she was very, very loyal to Razia and to Newsline and to everybody who worked there. And it's not the kind of, I think, duty that anybody would want, but it just it just after this tragedy, it was quite obvious that it would be her who would carry on, and she did for a very long time. And the odds, as you probably know, kept getting harder and harder and harder. But she kept it going and kept Razia's spirit alive.
What a friendship. What a friend. Hmm.
Okay, I think that's all I have to say. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for doing this.
Okay.